Do you have a drawer or box that's just full of old receipts, tickets, and random scraps of paper you've saved that you're not quite sure what to do with? Well, instead of tossing them out, what if I told you you could turn them into creative treasure? In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do just that with junk journaling, an easy, fun, and sustainable cozy hobby that's become such a popular creative outlet. Stick around to learn the basics and get started turning your junk into something beautiful. Junk journaling is all about repurposing what would otherwise be discarded, papers, scraps, even vintage finds. It's a fantastic way to express yourself, to reduce stress, and just get a little crafty with things that you already have lying around. So, why should you start junk journaling? It's more than just gluing paper together, although that is fun. So, let's talk about why this hobby is perfect for beginners. So, self expression. Junk journaling gives you the freedom to create without rules. You can add personal items like ticket stubs, photos, or even fabric scraps, and tell your unique story through your pages. It's also such a great way to get creative, whether you're into collage, drawing, or stamping. Junk journaling is all about combining different materials and seeing what your imagination can come up with. So you're not limited to just pens and paper. Anything you find can be part of your journal. So junk journaling really just encourages you to repurpose old materials that would otherwise go to waste. And over the years that I've been junk journaling, it's truly evolved into something that you can make completely your own. So everyone has their own styles and their favorite materials that they like to include on your pages. So it's all just about finding what you like. But first, let's talk about choosing the right journal to start your junk journaling journey. So, what exactly is a junk journal? Because there's so many different types and styles, like I mentioned, that you'll see online. And the essence of it, it's simply just a journal that incorporates all types of repurposed materials like old book pages, magazines, maps, fabric, or even packaging. But first, you do need that base. So, if you haven't done a journal before, then you might want to opt for a pre made journal. And these are perfect for beginners because you can just pick up a simple sketchbook, notebook, or even a planner that you've not used. And as long as it has thick enough pages that can handle some glue, maybe some paint, or anything else you want to stick to it, then it will be sturdy enough to use as a junk journal. Something I like to do is actually bind my own journals because you can control what size it is and what pages are included, and you can use things like old book covers or even cardboard like a cereal box as the cover, and you can just personalize it from the very beginning. You don't even have to be an expert at sewing or bookbinding. I have some no-sew journal tutorials on my channel. You literally just have a glue stick and your paper scraps, and you can create your own journal that is personalized to you. You also don't need any fancy supplies for junk journaling because you can use upcycled materials like old envelopes, greeting cards, cereal boxes, and these materials will all add texture and just something unique to your journal as you then work in it with other elements and papers. You might want to use different recycled papers like old books, magazines, like I mentioned, even receipts, anything that gives your journal that eclectic textured look. And the more that you vary your materials, the more character your journal will end up having as you work in it. So now that we know what kind of journal we want to use, let's talk about the materials that we're going to work with to create our pages. And one of the best things about junk journaling, if you haven't already noticed, is that you can literally use just about anything. So I thought I would give you some ideas for some fun and easy items that you can collect for your journal. Firstly, old magazines are perfect for collaging. You can cut out images, you can cut out patterns, quotes, or even the individual letters to do the ransom note style lettering. It's just a great way to get different fonts and different colours. All the different bits of ephemera that we can also collect throughout our everyday life. All those bits of papers like ticket stubs and postcards, receipts, old letters, even tags from clothing. You can also collect fabric scraps to add some texture. Maybe it's from an old piece of clothing, different linens that you can cut into strips and different shapes. Paper bags are literally everywhere, and they're great for creating pockets within your journal to hold smaller items like notes and photos. You can create a vintage look by collecting old book pages and maps. You can get these from secondhand shops, like charity shops. They don't have to be expensive. Also, stickers and washi tapes are a great way to add fun design elements to your pages. And washi tape is really good as well for adding extra bits of papers into your journals if you want to create more space to write on or to include all sorts of bits and pieces within your journal. So start collecting these items from around your house or from secondhand stores, and the more interesting the materials, of course, the more personal and eclectic your junk journal will end up being. So before you start gluing anything down, I think it's helpful sometimes to think about what we want to achieve with our junk journal. So are you documenting memories? Are you creating a space just for creativity? Or maybe you want to keep some daily journaling within there as well. There's no one right way to use your junk journal, but you might want to, for example, do some memory keeping by documenting a trip or a special event, or even just the little things in life as well, like a favourite song or a favourite quote that you found. I love to use them as creative expressions. So if you love like mixed media and just experimenting with different art supplies and just collecting all sorts of bits of collage and colours and textures and shapes, that's something that I really enjoy using in mine. But you can also use them for the daily journaling, so for personal reflections, for gratitude, and then also layering with creative elements like your own drawings and your collaging. But ultimately, I think it's just a great way to reuse materials you already have at home as part of a creative outlet. But journal prompts are definitely something that are great for getting you started if you're not sure what to do. So if you've gathered all your supplies and you're thinking, right, what should I create for my page, you could follow some prompts to give you some ideas. So maybe, what's a piece of ephemera that you have that brings back a good memory, and you could document that. Or what's something that you're grateful for today. Or it could be something more abstract, like a colour scheme you want to do, or just some supplies you want to add into your journal. It doesn't all have to have like some grand meaning. You can just enjoy the creative process of sticking down all your bits of papers. But I think sometimes if you're feeling a little bit stuck, then having some prompts or themes or an intention for your journal page to get you started can just help with that creative process. And like with any hobby, I think consistency is key when it comes to junk journaling, but don't worry, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. One of my top tips is to start small, whether it's using a smaller journal or not worrying about filling each page every single day. So you could just have 5 to 10 minutes every day to build a solid practice, or just set aside a time when you're going to sit down with your journal. It could even be once a week. There's no such thing as falling behind. Junk journaling is meant to be fun and relaxing, not stressful. So just embrace the process and the imperfections. You could maybe put a sticker on your calendar for each of the days you're going to journal, and that can help you to hold yourself a little bit accountable if you're just getting started with junk journaling. But I think one of the best things about it is that there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just all about what works for you. So when it comes to layout ideas for pages, if you're wanting to get started with making your pages, here are some ideas that you could use. So I love to do collage pages where you layer old papers, photos, and different ephemera. I think this is just an absolute hallmark of junk journaling. Don't be afraid to overlap materials, to tear edges, and also to mix the textures of the papers that you're using. I think it just creates such an interesting layered effect on a junk journal page when you see all the different papers. You could also crumple them to add some texture. Nothing has to be perfect. If you want to add some mixed media, you could maybe add some paint, some markers, even some stamping to your pages. You don't need to be an artist to do this. We're all just playing around with colour and texture on our journals. This is just a place where you can be creative without worrying about what the finished product actually looks like. Another thing you can do is to create pockets, so using old envelopes and different paper bags to keep your different ephemera or keepsakes, and it's a way to add more space if you want to add letters, notes, or even like some hidden journaling. You can use your ephemera to experiment with different layouts and see what you can add to your pages that tells your story. I like to keep the papers that I collect ready to use in my journal pages in boxes and different envelopes, but being a paper hoarder, I think, is just part of being a junk journaler, so you will find yourself spotting junk journal materials everywhere you go. But you could use maybe little pouches and other ways of organizing these papers. So if you're ready to start junk journaling, go grab your old papers, scraps, and ephemera and start creating your junk journal pages. I'd love to hear about the pages you create and what you've been working on. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more journaling tips and inspiration. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see what you create.